What you see in front of you here is two boxings of P-51 Mustang by Aurora Plastics. Well, the first box here, actually both of these boxes of the Aurora Mustang are some of my favorite box art. This first one, the copyright date on the first one down here, with the horse jumping over the airplane is copyrighted 1956, and the one up here is copyrighted 1964. The bottom box are actually the kit's the same in both of them. They represent my introduction, if you will, to plastic modeling back when I was just 5 years old. I had been in the hospital having my tonsils removed, and my dad bought me a model. I didn't know it at the time, but what model it was, what airplane it was, or anything. But my mother and myself built it when I was recovering, and I guess I should really say she built it more than me, but anyway, we kept it around the house for a number of years, and later on I realized that was the P-51 Mustang. This kit here, now, since this is the 1956 boxing, and it was probably this boxing that I received from my dad, or one very similar to this, because in 1956 I was 5 years old, and that's when I had my tonsils removed. Anyway, I really like both of these boxes. They're just unique. To the best of my knowledge, or I believe these kits probably most closely resemble the H model Mustang. They both have USAF markings on them. They seem to me anyway, to look more like the H model than the D model. The intake down here is more similar to the H model. And what I find interesting about this box here is that even though the H model never saw action in World War II, and the USAF, the United States Air Force, didn't come into existence until 1947, with and these insignias are USAF insignia. There's a Focke-Wulf 190 seeming to going down, being shot down, presumably by this Mustang, and the Mustang also shows some bullet holes on the tail and fuselage back here. I just think it's just such interesting artwork. Now, I'm not going to claim that these are the greatest models in the history of the world. They're typical, I guess, of 1950s vintage Aurora kits. I'll try to show you a little bit about this kit. The instructions in both kits, now, I don't have any idea whether these. My wife got these for me years ago. I don't know where she got them, or anything like that. So, and these boxes have, I can't say for sure that the instructions and the kit in here is what came inside the box originally. I know it's the kit that came in there, but whether somebody put these in there later, I don't have any idea. But the instructions here are dated 1956, and I'll try to show this. It's got some interesting other kits that are available, or were available at the time. And the kits themselves are kind of interesting because you look at the instructions here, the best you can do. These kits actually come with an interior, a cockpit, an engine, and believe it or not, retractable landing gear. I'm not saying these are accurate, but I am saying I think it's fairly unique for the time. And so, I just think they're just absolutely interesting. The other thing about it, you can look at the fuselage here, and one of the things that I find kind of interesting, even though I know these are not the only kits, but you've got where the decals go is embossed on the plastic here, and so I remember later on, not when I was 5, but later on when we had Aurora kits, and we're a little bit older, we used to use these to paint the decals on, or to paint the, instead of applying the decals, use these to paint them as guides for painting them on. I'll show you a little bit about this. I kind of, the parts were mostly off the sprue. Only a few of them were still on the sprue when I got the kit. But there are some interesting things in here. Like I said, it has a complete engine. You've got the panels here. They go on the sides so you can expose the engine. Here's a part of the engine right there, one half of it. And let's see here. Well, here's the propeller. I know the H propeller was somewhat unique. I don't know if it's quite that unique, but it's interesting nevertheless. Here's the other half of the engine. So again, I don't know how accurate this is, but just the fact they put an engine in here, I think is fairly remarkable. Let me see if I can get some of this stuff out of here without, there's the, I believe, part of the cockpit. You know, the tail planes. Oh, here's the, I believe, the cockpit floor. You got a pilot in here also. I know a lot of kits in the early years, you just didn't get any cockpit at all, and they would just stick on top of the flat piece under the canopy, just the head and shoulders of a pilot. But this thing has a full pilot. You know, I'm not saying he might not be the greatest, but he's there, so not bad. More of the cockpit in here. You know, I mean, for the time, it's not too bad. Now, the thing is just absolutely covered in rivets, probably rivets about the size of a, who knows, a golf ball or a tennis ball if you put them in scale. There's the top wings, and again, you can see the embossed national insignia and the USAF on the other wing. Oops, this is actually the bottom of the wing. This is the same wing, but and then let's see here. Oh, here's the other wing here, and you've got, like I said, USAF, and then the national insignia. Now note that these insignia, if you can see it there, they have the place to paint the red bar down the middle, and so you know that it's post-World War II or post-1947. Anyway, I've still got the decals. I put them in a bag here. They're somewhat yellow, but you know, they're still kind of cool. Since I don't ever intend to build this kit, you know, I just plan to just keep it. I just like it because it brings back memories for me, and so I really appreciate that. I don't know where my wife got these kits. Who knows how much she paid for them? But you know, she somehow or another, must have told her the first kit I ever built, and she went out and found it, which I very much appreciate. Here's something you don't see anymore these days: is the stand that came in the kit. This stand with the well, I do this. The kit actually, this thing fits in a slot in the bottom of the kit, so, or the bottom of the fuselage. When you put the fuselage together, there's the slot right there, so you could display it flying along in all its glory. Anyway, this is like I said, this is the Aurora 1956 version. I don't know how many times they kitted it after that. I believe, and I'm not 100% certain, but I believe that the kit was first released in 1956. If it wasn't 1956, it wasn't. I don't think it was too much before that time that the kit was released. So, to me, it's a piece of modeling history. It's a piece of my own history. And my dad, you know, I said, bought this for me when I got home from the hospital. My mother and I built it, or mainly she built it, and I enjoyed it, tore it up, kept it for a long time, and now I've got another copy of it, which I'm very pleased about, and I want to thank my wife for acquiring these for me. And you know, accuracy aside, it's not a big issue with these, but in terms of box art, I just think they're some of the coolest box art I've ever seen. Now, I didn't say accurate or anything like that, but brother, I really like it. So anyway, thanks for your time, and I hope you enjoyed it.